On. Yeah. Well, hello. It's good to be back. Yeah, I got stuck in a lot of traffic, so that was. So anyway, it's good to see everyone. I'm Robert Buxton. I'm going to play you some classical piano. Is there a radio on or something? Oh, not anymore. Okay, well. That's okay. Yeah. So I play classical piano, but I also have some Southern gospel I'll play for you at the end. Little treat. So, yeah, and I teach mainly. What I do is I teach at UNC Chapel Hill. So that's my main. Yeah, if anyone's a Tar Heel. Yeah. So to start, I'm going to play you some pieces by Franz Liszt. I recently did an event on Liszt, so some highlights of Liszt's life, and I'll talk about. Oh, there are people over here. Hi. It's good. I'm surrounded. It's good. You want to sing? Yeah. So
Don't try to run out on us.
I won't run out. It was hard enough to run here. So Franz Liszt. Talk a little bit about his life. You know, he was born in 1811. And he was born in what's now Hungary, although actually I found it's interesting, Austro-Hungary, which was what it was back then. Technically, he was born in what's now Austria, but, you know, at that time it was Hungary, and he grew up hearing gypsy music, mainly, the folk music of Hungary. And that's a big influence on the first piece I'm going to play, the 11th Hungarian Rhapsody. So Liszt, funny thing is that even though he was Hungarian, he left when he was 11. He went to Vienna to study with Czerny, you know, the guy who wrote all those exercises that kids play a lot. But he didn't speak Hungarian. He never learned it. So he would go to Budapest in later years. He was very politically active too, and supported Hungarian independence, I think it was. And he would go, and it would be awkward because he didn't speak the language. So he spoke German, it was his first language. But again, he was Hungarian, and this Hungarian Rhapsody number 11, it's born out of that music, out of gypsy music, out of folk music, what people played on the street. This is not classical. I tell people this is country music, but not from Appalachia. I mean, it's from, or blues or whatever. It's from Central Europe, from Hungary. It's the same idea. So the 11th Hungarian Rhapsody, you hear, it starts out, it's very interesting. He imitates a folk instrument called the cembalom, which is a gypsy instrument, and it's a stringed instrument with little hammers, and it actually sounds like this. Yeah, I mean, that's not the right notes, but it has that sound. So he starts at, you see, it has this tremolo thing. There's a long introduction with that cembalom, that instrument. You just can imagine that it's not a piano, it's something else. Then we have some dances. One of them is called a chardash. I forget the names. So, you know, here's one of the dances that are strung into this piece. So you get the flavor already, you know. Then there's another one, a little bit quicker. The final dance is, so it's all in there. And a lot of these pieces, you know, they're not necessarily originally by Liszt. He heard them somewhere. It's not, I'm not saying he plagiarized, I mean, that's not what I'm saying. But he borrowed and used some material, some folk material. So here it is. Start with this piece, the Hungarian Rhapsody number 11 by Franz Liszt. I'm still going to give you an hour or more, so even though I was late. Yeah. Thanks. Well, I think that'll warm everything up. So, Liszt was well known for his bravura. He was sort of like the first rock star, they said. And this next piece is a part of that time when he was in his 20s. It was interesting, he was something of a child prodigy. He met Beethoven in Vienna. But by the time he got into his 20s, the child prodigy thing, I guess, had sort of fizzled. He moved to Paris, which was a big musical center at that time. Not a bad place to be. Chopin was there too. They eventually became friends. But what happened was Liszt, I think at this time, his father, who was a musician, his father died, and he became very depressed. This came up different times in his life. Liszt actually became very religious at this time. He, at many points in his life, wanted to become a priest. Never actually happened, but he got very close a few times. His father told him, don't do it. His father said, you should be a musician. His father died. He was living with his mother, and he was teaching lessons all day long, walking across Paris. He didn't sleep much. He took up a taste for absinthe and cigars, too, I read. I've read some biographies, a lot of things, strange things. I even read that he had problems with his teeth because he used to grind his teeth while he played. So the little details of composers. So, but he was very depressed, and he was stuck. And then he hears Paganini, the violinist, the great violinist Paganini. And Paganini, some people believed that he was possessed by the devil, which is ironic because Liszt was so religious. I was talking about this. So at the same time, Paganini just fired him up. He was so impressed. And so what he did was he wrote the Grand Etude de Paganini, based on Paganini's solo violin caprices. I'm going to play the first one today. And this is definitely out of the rock star period when he was playing these concerts and there were people, and it was just, he didn't stay in that for his whole life. The interesting thing, Liszt, he started conducting later. He moved to the Vatican, to Italy, to take minor orders. He didn't perform as much. So, but this is from those early years, the late 1830s. So here's the first one. It's actually funny. He wrote these pieces in 1838, 39, around the time Paganini died. And then later he revised them because they were just too crazy, the original ones. They were just too insanely difficult. So he made it, and most people, including me, play the later version, the revised. He didn't change much, just a few passages which were just insane. So here it is. Again, here he is emulating the violin. It's an arrangement, and a good arrangement's like a good translation. It's not literal. The writer, if it's a book, they put their own character into it. So this is the first etude of Paganini, based on Paganini by Franz Liszt. I'm going to play a couple more arrangements now by Liszt. And this was a little more intimate. The first two pieces I played were very volcanic, we could say, especially that end there. So this is an interesting thing. He was, Liszt, the myth goes that he locked himself in a room after hearing Paganini, and for like 12 hours a day, 15 hours a day, just practiced. And he reinvented himself. It's kind of like those movies, the Rocky Balboa movies, he's running up the steps of the Philadelphia Art Museum. So it's almost a myth, but that's what he did. He emerged as a great star. He toured Europe and played to these huge crowds. There's a story about he would wear these white gloves, and he would leave them on the piano, and then ladies would swarm to get. So it was, it was like the Beatles in the '60s or something. So, anyways, he learned a lot from so many other composers, and I believe that he was a very good person. From what I've read about him, he was very philanthropic. He actually started playing these types of pieces, these fiery things, to raise money for charities, for a Beethoven statue. So he was a really, he was a good person. He also developed a more introspective side, lyricism, softness. First by meeting Chopin, and then I'd say maybe around the same time or later, I don't know, he encountered Schubert's music, Franz Schubert. So Schubert was from Vienna, lived earlier than Liszt, around the time of Beethoven. And Schubert died at 31, unknown. He was very sick, he was penniless, and nobody knew him. And Liszt discovered his music. He said, this is genius. And it's also, Schubert in some ways is like the first romantic composer. And so what Liszt did, he said, especially the lieder, the songs of Schubert, he said, I'm going to arrange them for solo piano and play them at my concerts. So he elevated composers like Schubert, who had not been known. Now Schubert's a household name. So I have a very silly, it's a dad joke. I'm a new dad, so dad jokes, corny jokes. They so in German, Lieder means Lieder means songs. So the joke is, what did the aliens say to Schubert? Take me to your leader. Yeah, it's a stupid, yeah. You just got, it's not a very funny joke. So, I know. So now I'm going to play, this is a famous piece, it's for voice and piano, called Ständchen or Serenade. So what Liszt does, he emulates the human voice. I'm not going to sing in German, so don't worry. You've probably heard this piece before. It's a famous, famous piece, yeah. Schubert wrote this in the final months of his life. And it's from a set of songs called Schwanengesang, which means swan song. It's a really apt title. Schubert is very sad. He was at 31. He knew he didn't have much time, so he wrote all this music, and it's amazing. So in Liszt's arrangement, here's the song, Serenade or Ständchen by Schubert. Schubert Liszt, the hyphen. you. So now I'm going to play another Schubert Liszt arrangement. This one is called, it's a long German title, Auf dem Wasser zu singen, which means singing on the waves. And it's the poem, the text of the song is a guy on a boat singing about the nature of life. It's a barcarolle. A barcarolle is not just life, but time. He talks about how time just keeps going, but our lives, they don't. You know, it's a very moving poem. And the barcarolle is a Venetian gondola song. It's in 6/8 or in 3. It has this feeling of one, and it has a lilt. And my wife says, she's a pianist too, she says she doesn't like to play barcarolles because she literally gets seasick from it. So, yeah, so you have this, see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's a little bit unstable. And, so yeah, and what Liszt does, he starts pretty close to the original, and then he starts putting the melody in different registers, like he did with the Ständchen, the serenade. And he started at nice female voice singing, but then this wouldn't happen in the actual song, the original, but Liszt put it down here, and then he did this echo effect at the end here. It's like there's 3 hands playing. It's a trick almost. So he does something similar. He starts pretty close to the original, and then he starts adding things. By the end, it's like a storm at sea, That's not the original. That's Liszt. So here it is. Auf dem Wasser zu singen by Schubert, arranged by Liszt. trend is just crazy. So, let me get some water. Where did I put the water? Do you see a water here? Oh, okay. Thank you. List burns calories. Yes. You know? That's funny. It's called singing on the waves. Auf dem Wasser zu singen. So I need some Wasser. You know? So, actually, I was thinking about that song when I was driving. I live in Mebane in Alamance County, and around Hillsborough, cars were going like 20 miles an hour. There was so much water. I thought, is this going to be that song? You know. Yeah. So. The next piece is a pretty dark piece. This is called Funerai, which means it's a funeral march, and it's a war memorial, this piece, Liszt wrote. He wrote it in 1849 to commemorate the failed Hungarian Revolution of 1848, in which many of his friends died. And another thing that happened in 1849 was Chopin died. Liszt denied that it was connected to that, but some people say the end of this piece is very similar to one of Chopin's, the heroic Polonaise. There's this part where there's a moment in Chopin that's very similar to that. So out of all the Liszt I've played today, this is probably, maybe I'd say, the first one that's completely an original piece of Liszt. There's no Hungarian melodies in there, there's no Schubert, there's no Paganini, it's just Franz Liszt himself. And this is after the rock star period. He became a conductor at Weimar, and he taught a lot of students, you know. So he evolved, he changed. Funerai, I played this for a good friend who's a pastor, and he said something interesting. He said, I hear the stages of grief here. He said, I just hear it, and it's so true to the form of this piece, because you'll notice it. I mean, the same melodies return in different ways. That's what happens to our emotions, I think. The same things that come back in different ways. So in the beginning, we have this very somber melody. It's creepy, actually, you know. I should come back on Halloween and play this. Yeah, so, but then it comes back at the end, the same music, but this way. I mean, it's like the floodgates have opened, and it's the same thing. Same with this melody, you know. I call this the glimmer of hope, little glimmer of hope here. But then it turns into this kind of rousing operatic type of thing. Same melody, you know. Yeah. He starts the piece very unusually. He emulates bells, big bells, and what he does, it's actually, he starts becoming an experimental composer here. You hear this. Now down there, it just sounds like big drum, kettle drums. But if I play the same notes a little bit higher, listen how bizarre this sounds. That is unheard of in that time. It's very dissonant. So anyway, this is the Funerai by Franz Liszt. It's like I said, war memorial for the people who died in the Hungarian Revolution. One more thing, and I really hate to say this, but I do like to connect music from the past to today. How can we think of it in terms of today? Because otherwise it becomes like a museum piece. And I hope that this music becomes alive, it becomes relevant to today. So think of events today that are similar, tragic events. Unfortunately, every time I play this, there's something. Whether it's shootings or the recent Shinzo Abe, it's these horrible things. And I think about these things when I play this piece. So this is the list. I don't end on a dark note. I'm going to end on a fun note. So this is not the last piece tonight. So don't leave. Yeah, it's a little longer. It's like 12 minutes. This is a little bit longer here. So all right, Liszt's Funerai. Well, I've got a little more. Is that okay? I don't know if I don't want to overstay my. Okay, I don't want to overstay my welcome here. So, I'm going to play one more Liszt piece, very very short and very strange, and then I'm going to play some. Well, this one, yeah. Then I'm going to play some other short pieces just to close, and then some gospel at the very end. So, this piece is called Nuages Gris, which means gray clouds. He wrote it in the last few years of his life, Liszt. By that point, he had become very isolated. He lived mostly near the Vatican in Rome. He was taking orders, minor orders. Didn't become a priest, but he was close. And two of his adult children had died, and he was in a very gloomy state. And this piece comes out of that. At the same time, what's fascinating is he goes into experimental music. I think he touches on that a little bit in the Funerei. There's some parts that are just very unusual for the Romantic era. But this piece, he looks forward to Debussy, Schoenberg, to modernism. You've seen abstract paintings before. I mean, this is kind of like, he's foreshadowing this in 1881 or 2, whenever he wrote this. So there's also the influence of Wagner. Wagner married one of his daughters, and Liszt had a friendship with him, but it was tense at times. Wagner was a pretty horrible person, you know. I won't get into that. It's so long. He was, you know, horrible. Anyway, this is a very short piece, and it's very strange, very creepy. It's just, but I think again, like, we've all been in that place sometimes. That very depressed gloom. I mean, this weather is like perfect for this piece. So here, yeah. Here it is, the old Liszt. That's pretty weird. And there was a little sound at the end that it fit with it.
Yeah.
It just fit real nice. So anyway, I'm gonna play you some more fun pieces now. That wasn't too fun. I love that piece, but it's very Oh, hey, how's it going?
I'm sorry to interrupt,
Oh,
but
yeah,
I
sure.
keep waiting, but I'm so
Oh.
tired. I'm
Oh,
sorry,
no.
y'all.
What is
So we're Karen retired. We got a new lady coming in. I'm doing the August schedule.
Okay.
So here's my email.
Well, thank
And
you.
here's the phone number, and I'm extension 1017, I forgot to put that in, so I'm doing the August.
Let me put that right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And I wanted to hand out one thing, so
Okay.
this is a good time.
So if you wanna come in August, email me and let me know the dates.
All right.
I'm sure y'all guys want him back, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Thank you. Yeah, that would be nice. So,
Let me put extension 1017 on there. So she's starting Monday, but
Okay.
she hasn't worked for Brookdale in a long time, so her and I know a lot of stuff, so I'm gonna train her, but we have a trainer that's gonna train both of us for
Great.
like, being a director. So.
thank you very much.
But I'm not a
Michelle.
director, I'm just a coordinator.
Oh, you're coordinator. Okay.
I'm like a manager, but
All right.
it's just a living or memory care, I'd be a manager, so.
Okay, I see.
But a director's different than a manager, so.
What's the difference?
They get paid more.
Oh, I
That's
see.
the difference.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that information.
Yeah, just shoot me an email, and then
Great.
I'll check it, and I'll put you on my calendar. You give me some dates, and I'll
Will do.
see what works.
I'd
Okay?
love to come back. Yeah, if they like it, I'll come.
Y'all want him
Yeah.
back, right? Okay. So shoot me the August one, because I'm doing it
For
right
August.
now, okay?
Thank you very much. So what I'm gonna do is this is something I've not done before, which is send out, if I can do this, an email list to people. I can send, videos and stuff. If you'd like that, it's optional to sign then I'll put my email here, so if you wanna write to me, stay in touch. Yeah, send it out to everyone.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Well, it's nice to meet you. I've never come to meet you, so
Nice to meet you, too.
It's nice to meet
Very
you.
nice to
So
see you.
you have a good
And
night, okay?
Thanks, and give my best to Karen.
Well, I see her, but she's, by the end of the month, she'll be moving to, near Lake Norman, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's a
so,
good place to.
so I probably won't see her much after that, but,
Well-
But I keep in touch and I'll tell her you give her
Yeah, please
best
do.
for
Please
her.
give her my best. So thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Nice
I'll
to meet
see
you too.
around.
Take care. Be safe out there. So I'm gonna send this. If you wanna pass this around, and I put my email on the top. If you wanna put your name and email, I'd love to stay in touch.
All right.
Send you some things, totally optional. So
All right.
just start here. And while I'll keep going, so a few more pieces today. Yeah, I'm gonna play you some violin arrangements. I'll talk less because we gotta finish. So this is the Salut d'Amour by Edward Elgar, a British. No, actually, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Thinking if I should skip that. Yeah, I'll skip it. So Edward Elgar was a British composer, and he wrote this for violin originally, but he himself arranged it for piano in this version. So you've probably heard it. It's a famous piece. So here it is. I just remembered that I think I stole your pen.
Yes, you did.
I'm sorry about that.
It's all right, I'm passing it around.
Okay. I remembered that in the middle of that piece, and I thought,
Oh, don't worry.
I've just committed a small crime here. So, is that okay?
Yeah.
Because I have other pens.
That's
Just
okay,
being
don't
absent-minded,
you
so,
worry.
okay. So a couple more things here. I'm gonna play now, this is another violin arrangement, and it's called the Sicilienne by Maria von Paradis. It's actually by a guy named Samuel Dushkin, who claimed it was by Maria von Paradis. So a lot of people used to do that. At the time of Chrysler, actually, I'm gonna play Chrysler for you too. So it's an arrangement. It's originally for violin, and a Sicilienne is a type of dance that has a lilt to it. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And Silent Night is a Sicilienne because it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's a Sicilienne for you. So yeah, here it is. Short. These are real short. So. Play one more classical piece and then a few Southern gospel. So to close, upbeat Southern gospel ones. So this is the Schön Rosmarin, also a violin piece by Fritz Kreisler from Vienna. He's from Vienna originally. So again, I just took the violin part and the piano part and just smushed them together somehow, and that's what this is. So. Thanks for coming out today. I'm sorry I was late. I also stole a pen, so a lot of just forgive me here, but
I volunteered.
you volunteered, okay, after the fact, right?
But hey,
So-
you're a great swoosher.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I smushed it together. That's what I do. So I'm gonna smush together some Southern gospel too. Again, I don't sing, so I just try to sing through the piano. You don't want to hear me sing. Trust me, it's not a good thing.
It's okay.
No, it's not. But this is an old gospel tune. It's called the Jericho Road, if you've heard it before. It's old, upbeat, country gospel type thing. So. Real quick, because we had some real heavy lists today. We ate some heavy food, and I want to finish. Well, I'm not saying gospel's light. Gospel can be very deep, and even an upbeat piece like this But this to me expresses a joyful gospel. So this is now something they do in Pentecostal churches. Some people, they say that it sounds like boogie woogie. Well, it's the Pentecostal church players would not agree with that. They would say, no, it started here. So this is, it's a song. I'm going to try to smush something together, improvise a little. It's called Jesus is on the Main Line. If it was written nowadays, it would be, you know, Jesus is on the iPhone or something, because the main line, it's about a phone call. So, or I don't know what the kids use now, TikTok, or that's even past before my time. So, after my, I don't even know. Okay, so what was I going to? Oh, Jesus is on the Main Line. It's a Pentecostal gospel thing. Well, I hope you're not too tired. I have one more piece. This is called All Day, All Night. Another gospel, Southern gospel too. So hopefully I can do this because it's tricky. appreciate it. Thanks for coming out, and that's all, folks.
That's all, folks.
Thanks. Take care.
You know, if churches play music like that, they probably don't let it running.
They probably collect more.
Well, that's I play in church. I'm gonna go play at a church tomorrow. So, and I play stuff like some people like it, some people don't. Some people.
We could go to that church.
Oh,
It's probably far away.
It's in Durham.
Yeah.
We had two in the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay, I knew you were expecting when you were here last night. As often as possible.
Oh, we thoroughly enjoyed it. Oh, thank you.
You enjoy
I
that?
enjoyed playing here.
Now we have to find your list.
Oh yeah, Franz list. Get it.
Never heard Liz play so beautifully.
Thank you.
You are so talented.
It's just this it's this cute little baby, but so everywhere. Alright. Oh yeah.
Just practicing.
Go back
I appreciate it, and I'll be back. Yeah, give a good report to the new person. Yeah.
Oh yes,
I
oh
would love
yes.
to.
Yeah, I could really see your face.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. This is one of the first times I'm not wearing it. Yeah, now they're older. One is 2.5, and our others today turned 6 months.
God, you were so Chris.
Oh yeah.
No wonder you're
Can't
out
you
playing.
tell?
Yeah, no wonder you're escaping.
No, I love it. They're good kids.
Are they playing in the area?
Oh,
Bang.
but I mean, yeah, don't get me
You're great, it's wonderful.
Thank you.
We have great entertainment here, we really do.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, wow. What is this?
Now, did you dance to that music?
Paderewski? Yeah, we're talking.
Yeah, I could dance like that. Isn't he wonderful?
Thank you. Hello, sir.
Really?
Good to see you. Yeah, what's your, I remember you. What's your name? David Barber.
Really, you know?
Yeah, that's where you went. David Barber, yeah. 51, okay. A couple of years ago. It's not that long ago. Yeah, you've got a mighty strong handshake. It's great. Thank you. Thank you, sir. David. Nice to meet you. Well, good to see you, brother.
Hey. I'll let you reaching out about what it felt like for me.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Oh,
I just.
oh.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy having you here. You're just marvelous.
Well, you're marvelous. I love coming here.
This music too.
Oh, well, I've been here 14 years.
Got to do that.
Well, the old lady didn't want but I
It's a
thoroughly,
feeling.
thoroughly
You can't do
Thanks for
that
coming
with
out. I
it.
appreciate it.
hope to get back.
Yeah, me too. We don't get stuck in the rain again.
I enjoyed your commentaries
Thank you, sir.
and your playing.
Thanks.
How long have you been teaching at Chapel Hill?
Oh, now since 2017. Yeah.
It's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's fun. I'll come back.
I sure enjoyed it. Now I'm going to let you drive home.
Oh, no, it's okay. Maybe the rain will stop.
Right. Have a good trip back.
Thank you.
I hope to see you soon.
I'll come back. And you're
Nathaniel Greenwood.
Daniel Freeman.
I put my name on your list.
Oh, thank you. I'm not going to spam you, don't worry. I'm just
I'll
going
trust you.
I'll just send it.
You brought tears and you brought laughter.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well,
Here's this, it's all finished.
and you got
I
the
took
pen.
my pen.
Fantastic.
Don't you worry, I'll loan it to you again, no problem. You come back
At a
anytime.
small charge.
Have a safe trip.
Oh, mine is right here. Thank you very much. Robert Buxton Piano at Gmail. I just got a new one because I think it's easy to remember. It's just my name and then piano. So,
Yeah, that's good. Some of those names I wanted to know so I could look them up.
oh yeah, sure. It's good to, because I thought I'd want to know, you know. Well,
Thank you for coming to Brookfield.
thank you very
When I
much.
touched the piano.
Oh yeah.
It's a hot one.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Thank you so much. We
Thank you very
really
much.
appreciate it. I hope you're on the schedule with our new person who's on board, for summer.
How often have you been? I know I've heard you before.
Yeah, I've come here before.
How often does
Usually I come like every few months because,
you have a schedule?
yeah, I mean, it's not a fixed one. Like I'll send an email or give a call and say, because I can't learn so many brand new things at once. Unless,
I'm amazed. So much of the little bit of piano I know is always,
oh, but that's what you gotta say. I mean, I learn it on paper and then have to memorize it.
yeah, memorizing, especially with our age.
Oh, but it doesn't matter. Some really great pianists, they play with the music and concerts. It doesn't change anything. So,
Beautiful, and I like you're able to change from the 1800s to the gospel period.
Oh,
We were enjoying that. We have some Pentecostals here.
oh, we do? Okay.
Yeah,
That's, I did.
one of them in particular was, he knew the words.
He knew the words too.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you again. Hey, thank you. Oh, I gotta turn this off. One
He's
second.
the gentleman I was just referring to.
Oh, wow. Okay.